Good evening. I'm Kirk Walden, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to the First Choice Women's Center Fall Fundraising Event, virtual style. Now, I know we had hoped to be together in person for this event, but circumstances being what they are, we decided to go virtual, and Michelle made a great decision to do that because this could be the largest fundraising event in the history of First Choice. You know, it's one of these years that everything has gone haywire, and wouldn't it be just like God that in a time of pandemic, we gathered together around our televisions, watching on computers, hosting watch parties in our churches, all of these things, and made this the largest event we've ever had. And that's what I'm praying for tonight, and I know you are too, that we would choose to give generously in such a way, because we don't have any limit to our audience. That's one of the benefits of this, that we would all give in such a way that this would be an event that we'll never forget for First Choice. So again, thank you for coming. I look forward to what's ahead. Like I said, we're going to hear from Michelle, our executive director, Michelle Thompson. We're going to hear from one of our clients, and we'll hear from Mark Newman, who's not only a gifted speaker, but a friend, and I'll introduce him in a minute. But as we get started, why don't we go to the Lord in prayer, and then we'll kick this thing off. Father, we thank you for this evening. I thank you for what you're doing through First Choice. And I thank you that even in a time of pandemic, you still move, and you're going to be moving through us tonight. And so I look forward to what's ahead. I pray you'll give us ears to hear what you have for each of us individually, that we might be moved in such a way to take action, and that as we take action, you look down and you're honored and you're glorified. And we ask this in Jesus' name, amen. As I said a moment ago, my name is Kirk Walden. I got to be your speaker at this event several years ago. Michelle is a friend. I actually grew up down in Auburn, which isn't too far away, is it? About 35, 40 minutes. And so it is a pleasure to be a part of this evening tonight, and a pleasure to turn it over to Michelle Thompson to share a little bit about where we've been, where we are, and where we're headed. Michelle, take it away.
Welcome to our virtual banquet, and thanks for joining us. After 13 years of successful fundraising banquets, this isn't exactly how I pictured the banquet of 2020. No elegant Delevant, no fellowship with friends, and no great pecan praline desserts. This is for such a time as this. And since we are to bring all our prayers and supplications before Him with thanksgiving, we are choosing to be thankful for the unexpected opportunities COVID-19 has brought to First Choice. First of all, we are thankful that this virtual event you're watching is breaking through the walls of Delevant with its limited seating, and is instead reaching people not only in the LaGrange community, but also all over the United States and possibly the world. Thank you all who shared this with friends and family near and far. I can promise you that this hour will be a valuable investment of your time. Are you aware that abortion clinics, which are located as close as Columbus and Atlanta, were allowed to stay open because they were considered essential medical care? While other crucial medical procedures were being canceled, Planned Parenthood and other abortion clinics remained open so that they could continue to perform essential health care services, namely abortion. We at First Choice believe that health care is about saving lives, not taking lives. Therefore, our services are essential and time-sensitive to the unborn and their parents. We are thankful that with safety protocols in place, we have remained open without any interruption. As the culture of fear has permeated our country during this crisis, our staff has been able to share the hope and peace of Christ with our clients. I'm so proud of our staff and would like to thank them for coming to work every day, ready to serve no matter the consequences. We are especially thankful for the 8 babies who have been saved from abortion since the pandemic began mid-March. Their mothers came to our center planning to abort, but after receiving peer counseling and seeing their babies on an ultrasound, they instead chose life for their babies. 8 babies who are now able to make their impact on this world for generations to come. Our mission statement reads as follows. First Choice Women's Center is a Christ-centered ministry providing medical and educational services to those facing unplanned pregnancies, encouraging sexual integrity, and empowering individuals to make life-affirming choices. Choice is the operative word here. The pro-abortion community has led the people of our country to believe that abortion is the only choice. That deceitful message was what led us to change our name to First Choice Women's Center several years ago. As Alveda King remarked recently at Focus on the Family See Life event, there is only one choice. We want our clients to see that choosing life is the only choice, is the first choice, and is the best choice for them and their babies. Clients come into our center fearful and skeptical of what they will find, but as we review our exit surveys, we learn that instead they leave feeling respected, cared for, and loved. And best of all, they leave with the hope they have found in Jesus Christ. Finally, I'm thankful tonight for a special client who is brave enough to share her very personal story. May her testimony be a blessing to you as it has been for us.
When I was 16, I found out I was pregnant. I was a cheerleader in high school, and I was on the honor roll, student council, and I was the secretary in FCCLA. I was scared when I found out I was pregnant, but my boyfriends and my family pressured us to get an abortion. And that's not what we wanted to do, but we decided to so we would be obedient to our family. After I found out I was pregnant with my second child, I was actually excited but quite nervous because I didn't know if I was going to be pressured to get another abortion. But my family was very upset because they knew I was about to start college 2 weeks later. So my family did pressure me again to get an abortion, but this time I wasn't going to let that happen. So I remember that my former high school teacher told me about First Choice Center, and I decided to go. When I went to First Choice, I met Miss Lisa. She was a very caring and loving person. She made me feel like I had someone to talk to. We kept in contact over the years, and soon I felt like she was a second mom to me. My family scheduled an abortion the day of my birthday, and they told me if I didn't go that I would have no place to stay. First Choice found a place for me to stay, but my aunt ended up taking me in. My family went to my doctor's appointment with me, and they took us back for an ultrasound. And when they seen my baby, they became more supportive, and they told me that I was definitely keeping my baby. And they wanted me to come back home. I participated in the Earn While You Learn program, and I learned how to care for my baby, how to take care of myself while my baby was in the womb. I continued with the Earn While You Learn program after I had my baby. I earned baby books, and I got a chance to get a car seat. I got diapers, wipes, and clothes for my baby. I did Bible study at First Choice, and they helped me out a lot. I learned how to pray more, and I pick up my Bible more often. This is Tristan. He's 6 months old. I'm currently working a part-time job to save up money so I can go back to college. My family now is very supportive, and they help me out very much with me and my son. If I hadn't gone to First Choice, I don't know where I would be today.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for sharing your vision for where we're headed. And it's great to hear that story too, wasn't it? Because it's God working in people's lives. That's why we're here tonight. And as we see that, my goal, and I know yours is as well, that we'd see more and more stories like this one as God moves in the lives of those we see. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a friend of mine, Mark Newman. Dr. Mark Newman is a demanding communication trainer, an incisive pro-life apologist, a galvanizing banquet speaker, which you'll hear in just a minute. He's actually one of my favorites. An author of a new book, Contenders, a church-wide strategy to unmask abortion, defeat its advocates, empower Christians, and change the world. And if I could just take a moment, I've read this book, and it is absolutely a game changer. He takes this issue and he amplifies it in such a way that any of us can get involved and any of us can make a difference. And I encourage you, with everything I've got, you need to read this book. Mark is president of Speaker for Life, a training firm dedicated to equipping pro-life advocates nationwide with public speaking skills. And he's the former director of speech and debate at the University of California at Irvine and taught in the doctoral program in the School of Communication and the Arts at Regent University. He's the co-founder of the Applied Bioethics program, which is moving to Cedarville University next summer. He's appeared on Fox News and in Time magazine. He recently relocated from North San Diego County in California to beautiful East Tennessee with his wife Sharon and their youngest son Joel. Let's welcome Mark to the stage tonight.
Whenever I look out at the mass media's portrayal of pro-life people, and then I actually go and meet with real live pro-life people, there is a tremendous disconnect. When I look at what the media portrays pro-life people as, it always seems like they're so bitter and angry and sad. But when I go out and I meet with real live pro-life people, they always seem unbelievably happy. Another really weird disconnect is that over in the media, when I see them portray pro-life people, they always seem like a bunch of knuckle-dragging Neanderthals. But the fact of the matter is, when I meet real-life pro-life people, they are always smart. I remember I was at a banquet not long ago. I'm sitting at a table, and at my table, I've got an Anglican priest and a Navy fighter pilot. And they're the same guy. I mean, it takes a lot of brains to be both of those at once. I know a little something about how the mass media treats pro-life people in terms of their intellectual capacity. Years ago, I was writing editorials for a major regional newspaper down near San Diego. I wrote primarily on pro-life issues, and then one year they decided they would bring all of their editorial writers in to be interviewed so that, I guess their readers could get to know them a little bit better. So I went in, I sat for my interview, and then it appeared the next Sunday, but not all by itself. No, it appeared with this following introductory paragraph. Mark Newman is an interesting mix. On the one hand, he's a scholarly academic. And on the other hand, a vibrant voice for the pro-life movement. It was one of those weird moments where I felt like I was on Sesame Street, where, one of these things is not like the other. It seemed inconceivable to these folks that an academic college professor could be a pro-lifer. But I think, as you're going to see today, you really can't come to any other conclusion than that smart people should be pro-life people. Now, I got to tell you, I am a scholarly academic. When I put on my academic hat, I study the rhetoric of mass media. In other words, I study how the things you look at on television and movie theaters, how they alter the way that you view the world. Now, what I specialize in is action heroes. I love films about action heroes. Everybody loves movies about action heroes. Let's be honest, a really good action hero can solve any problem, no matter how complex, in like 90 to 120 minutes. They're incredible. The problem is, a lot of times we're looking to the wrong people to be our role models. So we look to action heroes like Bruce Willis or Sylvester Stallone or my former governor. Some of you are looking at me going, what, Gavin Newsom? No. Jerry Brown? No. Arnold Schwarzenegger. We look to the wrong people. Folks, we don't really need more celluloid heroes in this world. What we really need are real heroes. And tonight I want to talk to you about heroes for 4 reasons. Number one, because everybody deep in their heart believes themselves to be heroic. But we've lost our ability to see the heroic moment. And a lot of times, even when we do see it, we're unprepared as to what to do. But tonight I'm here to tell you there's a way out of that heroic dilemma, and I'm going to explain it to you because that's what college professors do. We explain stuff. Folks, everybody, deep in their heart, everybody believes themselves to be heroic. I will never forget the first time I ever really felt like a hero to somebody. I'm driving home from the college. I've been teaching all day. I pull up into the driveway, and here is my son, Jesse. At the time, I don't know, he's 8, 9 years old. He's standing there with his little fists on his little hips, and he is having a very animated discussion with the next door neighbor kid. So I pop out of the car and I go, hey, buddy, what's going on? And my son looks up at me and he goes, Dad, tell him what you do. I got to let you know, this is a real red letter moment for me because I do not have the world's most exciting job. Now, I don't know what it's like in the school district school districts near where you are, do you guys still have those, bring daddy to school day? So, here's little Bobby and his daddy is a firefighter, and here's little Timmy and his daddy is a police officer, and here's little Jesse and his daddy is a rhetorical critic, right? Doesn't have exactly the same pop to it, does it? This is a really exciting moment for me. My son goes, Dad, tell him what you do. So I look at the kid and I say, well, son, I'm a college professor. And my son, Jesse, rolls his eyes and says, no, Dad, your real job. Gentlemen, newsflash, your kids have no idea what you do. Seriously, it's not like it used to be, where you follow dad behind the plow. No, it's what your kids think you do is what they see you doing often. And what my son Jesse saw me doing often, and in fact, he actually participated in it, my son would fill up my trunk with notebooks, with CDs, with all of the materials that I knew I was going to be using. And he knew I was going to take that trunk, get on an airplane, fly somewhere, and I was going to train National Right to Life affiliate groups and directors and staff members for pregnancy resource centers and help clinics all over the United States to stand in the gap for the lives of their unborn neighbors created in the image of God. And to my son Jesse, that was pretty heroic. Now, a couple years later, he had an opportunity to kind of, flip the script on me. He decided, with no prompting from mom or dad, he decided that he was going to start the Pro-Life Kids Club. So I don't know how many of you, if you're sitting at home tonight looking around, you're probably not wearing all of your costume jewelry, but I used to wear in my lapel these precious feet pins, these little gold pins. You've probably seen them. They are the feet of a 10-week-old embryo in the womb. Same size. I used to wear these lapel pins all the time, and then I would come home from a speaking event, I would hang them up in my closet, and my son Jesse would come in, and he would steal them and sell them. My son would take these precious feet pins to AYSO Soccer, he would take them to Awanas, and he would sell them for $1 a piece, and then at the end of the month, he would gather up the money that he had raised, and he would donate it to our area pregnancy resource center. Everybody, deep in their heart, believes themselves to be heroic. Everybody wants to believe that they would act heroically if given an opportunity. Everybody would like to believe that if they would have lived in the South during the time of the Civil War, that they would have been part of the Underground Railroad ferrying enslaved Africans up to the free North. Everybody I know likes to believe that if they would have been living in Nazi Germany, that they would have been like the Corrie ten Boom family and they would have hidden Jews down in their basement or up in their attic. Every guy I know, deep in his heart, believes that if they would have been on Flight 93, that they would have been one of the men who said, let's roll. Everybody, deep in their heart, believes themselves to be heroic. The problem, though, of course, is that it's hindsight is 20/20, right? Because it's easy to say what you would have done because, after all, you don't have to actually do it. But the good news I have for you this evening is that I can tell you exactly what you're going to do if you are ever faced with heroic circumstances. I can tell you. What's going to happen is you're going to reach way down deep to your core moral principles. They're going to bubble up and you're going to act out of those principles. So the problem is not desire. Everybody desires to be a hero. The problem is a lot of times we simply don't recognize the heroic moment when it comes. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. Social media has got us watching, stupid people tricks and fluffy cat videos all day. And our mass media, right, the news networks, they've got us in absolute whiplash. I mean, it is on the, you've got natural disasters over here, you got COVID over there, terrorist activities here. I mean, there's all kinds of things happening all the time, just whipping your head back and forth. It's kind of hard to focus. And then when they aren't getting you to be moving your attention from place to place to place, they're getting you to turn your attention inward. So through advertising, they're making you ask yourself, am I at the right weight? Do I have the right watch? Do I have the right spouse, the right house? Did I graduate from the right college? All of these different things that are always inward focused. But folks, if we could take just a moment and set aside social media and set aside the whiplash we get from the mass media and even set aside for just a moment looking inward to ourselves, we would discover that in the United States alone, we have put to death over 61 million children in the wombs of their mothers through abortion since 1973. In many states, abortion is legal through all 9 months of pregnancy for any reason whatsoever, at taxpayers' expense, and often if the woman is a minor, without parental knowledge or consent. And it's not just that. We have organizations that are actively selling the aborted baby parts of these aborted children. Folks, the Center for Medical Progress video showed this very, very clearly, and if you've not ever seen those, just look them up. The state of New York recently passed a bill allowing the abortion of completely viable babies, and then they celebrated it by lighting up the World Trade Center. It was unbelievable. It was ironic that this center, where 3,000 people lost their lives, would be lit up in celebration of an abortion industry that takes the lives, 3,000 lives nearly, of unborn children every single day in the United States. Illinois, their Planned Parenthood recently opened a mega center right across the river from Missouri. Missouri's in the process of eliminating their abortion facilities, and so Illinois creates this mega abortion center and then puts up large billboards welcoming Missourians to come over and intentionally put to death their unborn children. We are effectively becoming two nations. I think that a lot of people realize that Roe versus Wade will inevitably be overturned. As a matter of fact, the abortion industry is already preparing for it. But it won't make abortion illegal like a lot of people think. What it really will do is it will return the question of abortion back to the states. And let me show you what will happen. It's going to divide states into life states and death states. For example, Texas will be a sanctuary, but right next door, New Mexico has one of the nation's most notorious late-term abortion clinics. Tennessee will be pro-life, but Virginia will maintain abortion. This is the direction we are all headed. Have you ever wondered, how in the world did we get here? How do we become a nation like this? You know, if you would have asked somebody 70, 80 years ago, do you think you would ever live in a nation in which some states, it would be legal for someone to take the life of an unborn child throughout all 9 months of pregnancy for any reason whatsoever? Did they ever think they would live in a nation where abortion would be something that would be handled at taxpayer expense? Did they ever think they would live in a nation where minors could circumvent the will of their parents and abort those parents' grandchildren without parental knowledge or consent? The same child who has to get parental consent just to get an aspirin from the school nurse. If you would have told somebody you would be living in a nation where that was possible, those people would have looked at you like you were nuts. So what happened? How did we get from where we were to where we are today? I can tell you exactly what happened. What happened is the church took its eye off the ball. The church spent far too much of its time taking marching orders from the mass media. But I am here tonight to tell you that it is long since past time that the church stopped taking its marching orders from the mass media and started taking its marching orders from the Word of Almighty God. So the problem, folks, is not our desire. We want to be heroes. The problem is a lot of times we lose our ability to see that heroic moment. But I'll tell you, even when we find it, a lot of times we're at a loss for what to do. We just don't know how to act. A lot of times we're unprepared. Now, some people will say, well, you don't want to get on that whole pro-life bandwagon because those Christian people, they overreact. And I'm going to be honest with you, there have been instances where abortion doctors have been shot. There have been instances in which abortion clinics have been bombed or vandalized. But you know what? Not once, not a single time, has any one of those crimes ever been linked to an individual connected with any pro-life organization. Not once. You see, the real problem, ladies and gentlemen, is not that Christians have overreacted to abortion. The real problem is that Christians significantly underreact. Now, I don't know how many business people we have watching tonight, but I can't see it, but raise your hand if you're in business. If you're in business, you probably know Pareto's Law, which is the 80-20 rule, right? That says that 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people, right? Well, the pastors in the audience are going, 90-10. Yeah, I get it. But here in the pro-life movement, it's a little closer to 98-2. the church has largely failed in its response to the evil of abortion in our community. Now, I know, some of you are watching tonight, some of you pastors are watching tonight saying, no, I'm really good from the pulpit and I really do instruct all our people, and if you do, that's great. But I'm telling you, overall, the church has largely failed. I actually interacted with a director in a suburb of Atlanta a few years ago, and she told me that she had 600 churches in her service area. 600, that's a lot. And so I asked her, wow, out of how many of those churches do you receive monthly support? And she told me 12. 12. 2%. Now, I have to let you know, if I had to stop right now, I could understand why you would want to go out and join the Eeyore Patrol. I mean, seriously, Dr. Newman says we all want to be heroes, but we can't. We don't even see the moment, and even if we do see the moment, we don't know what to do. Right? Sounds pretty bleak, right? But here's the good news. Remember I told you that I was going to show you that there was a way out of this heroic dilemma? Well, I'm going to tell you what it is right now. And if you're a note taker, this would be a really good time to take some notes, because here it comes. I'm going to tell you how to be a hero. All you have to do to be a hero is to be an ordinary person willing to live an extraordinary life like Job. Now, some of you at home are laughing. You're looking at yourself going, what is it? You want me to crawl into my fireplace and scrape my boils with pot charts? What? No. You all know this. Please tell me you all know the story of Job. You should have read the book of Job. Believe me, if you haven't, you could have a very embarrassing moment someday. I mean, you might get up to heaven, bump into somebody and say, oh, hey, hi, I'm Mark. And the guy say, hi, I'm Job. You read my book? What are you going to say? What, it was hard? Too much poetry? Read the book. Now, if you're the kind of person who likes to be surprised at the end of a book, now would be a good time to put your fingers in your ears and go, la, 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 because I'm going to totally blow the ending for you. Everybody knows the story of Job, right? That Job went through all of these calamities, right? And then at the end of his life, at the end of the calamities, God steps in and he restores Job. He says that only Job spoke rightly about Job's circumstances. Now, my question is not, why did Job have to go through all of this? My question is, why Job in the first place? Why is Job in the scriptures for us? A lot of people will say it's to teach us about suffering. I don't think that's the whole ball game. I think Job is there to teach us about what it means to be an authentic man living in a difficult culture. Now, gentlemen, I want to talk to you for just a minute, just the guys, just for a minute. I don't know why it is, actually, I do, and I'll explain it to you here, but men are increasingly experiencing what I will call a crisis of significance. We have men who literally don't know what they are for, and I don't mean for or against, I mean for, like, why we're even here. We have an entire culture telling men that they are toxic. We have a culture telling men that they're unnecessary. And so after a while, what happens is guys start to, sort of freak out. But I got to let you know, I think that deep down inside every man, there's what I'd like to call the spark of a dragon slayer. But I have to take a little bit of heat on behalf of my academic colleagues, because if you've been in school since the 1960s, there has been a concerted effort to snuff that spark out. So you're an elementary school kid, and you're at elementary school, you go out onto the playground, and you see a fourth grade kid beating up on a first grade kid, and you decide to insinuate yourself into that fight, and suddenly an adult comes over and goes, oh, Johnny, no. Don't insinuate yourself in that fight. No, you go all the way across the playground and you find an adult and bring them back, and then go back into your classroom, sit in your chair with your hands folded neatly in your lap, and my goodness, if you want to do anything, raise your hand. Now you get off to college and that doesn't change. You're constantly being told, don't you go opening a door for Susie. Susie's perfectly capable of opening a door for herself. There's no difference at all between men and women. They're all the same. And you're sitting there going, but I want to go out. I want to do something heroic, and I want to go out and slay dragons. And the academics look at you and say, oh, no. There are no more dragons. The government took care of all of that. But it doesn't go away. It can get redirected, sometimes in a really unhealthy way. Have you ever thought about the metaphors that we use for business in this country? Right? I'm going to go out and I'm going to crush the competition. I'm going to go and I'm going to take market share. These are all battle metaphors, because God has designed you to be a dragon slayer and you are going to go out and seek dragons to slay. Unfortunately, I think that because of the mass media, because of the influence of academia, a lot of times we're looking in all of the wrong places. And as a result, men are experiencing midlife crisis at a younger and younger age. Now, all the way down to age 35, we're running up against young men who say, look, I did everything the culture said I was supposed to do. I got the college degree, I got the wife, I got the house, I got the kids, I got the dog, I got the promotion, I got the car. And they look at their life and they say, my God, is this it? Gentlemen, I'm here tonight to tell you no. This is not it. And if you want to find out what authentic biblical manhood looks like, if you want to find out what God has created you to do and to be, you don't have to look any farther than the book of Job. In the book of Job, Job describes the kind of man he was before the calamities came upon him. Here he describes the kind of man God restores him to be. And we know that God gave us the Old Testament so that we could be instructed. So if you want to find out what good, solid, biblical, authentic manhood looks like, it looks like Job in chapter 29, verse 7 and following. When I went out to the gate of the city, when I took my seat in the square, the young men saw me and hid themselves, and the old men arose and stood. The princes stopped talking and put their hands on their mouths. The voice of the nobles was hushed, and their tongue stuck to their palate. For when the ear heard, it called me blessed. And when the eye saw, it gave witness of me, because I delivered the poor who cried for help, and the orphan who had no helper. The blessing of the one ready to perish came upon me, and I made the widow's heart sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My justice was like a robe and a turban. I was eyes to the blind and feet to the lame. I was a father to the needy, and I investigated the case which I did not know, and I broke the jaws of the wicked, and I snatched the prey from his teeth. Gentlemen, I have bad news for you this evening. Someday, you're going to die. Me too. Let me tell you something. If on that day your wife, your kids, your grandkids, they say, these are the verses we should put on Grandpa's grave, because he broke the jaws of the wicked and he snatched the prey from his teeth. Gentlemen, if that is the case, you are going to know that you lived a worthy life. If what pro-lifers say about the unborn are true, because actually, if our opponents are correct about the nature of the unborn, then all we have really done is become part of a movement that's rolled back women's rights for decades. So the question is it true? Is it true that what's in a woman's body from the moment of conception is a real, life, separate, whole, distinct human being? That's the question we have to ask. Well, I got to let you know, when I want to find out about medical stuff, I ask doctors, because doctors know about medical stuff. So I want to read to you a brief excerpt from an essay in California Medicine called A New Ethic for Medicine and Society. This, by the way, was published 3 full years before the Roe versus Wade decision legalizing abortion in the United States. Listen to what they write. Since the old ethic has not been fully displaced, it has been necessary to separate the idea of abortion from the idea of killing, which continues to be socially abhorrent. The result has been a curious avoidance of the scientific fact, which everyone really knows, that human life begins at conception and is continuous, whether intra or extrauterine, until death. The very considerable semantic gymnastics which are required to rationalize abortion as anything but the taking of a human life would be ludicrous if they were not often put forth under socially impeccable auspices. It is suggested by the authors, that this schizophrenic sort of subterfuge is necessary because while a new ethic is being accepted, the old one has not yet been rejected. Now, what are these doctors saying about who knows when human life begins? They say Everyone really knows. And when does it begin? It begins, they say, at conception. And then is continuous afterward from the moment of conception until natural death. They say that in order to overcome this natural intuition that women have, that what's in their body is a baby, they're going to have to engage in considerable semantic gymnastics. They're going to have to twist the truth into a pretzel because they know that intuitively women do know. This is why, in the 70s and 80s and even later, women who were pregnant used to wear those big stretchy shirts and they had a little arrow pointing down, right? And above the arrow, it said, products of conception this way. No. Uterine contents down here. No. What did it say? Oh, go ahead and you can just say it at home. Baby. Everybody knows it's a baby. So in order to overcome that intuition, they say we're going to engage in considerable semantic gymnastics, and we're going to have to repeat this lie routinely, regularly, often put forth under socially impeccable auspices. We have to get the government to say it. We have to get the entertainment media to say it. We have to get the educational environments to say it. We got to get medical people to say it, and it would be really great if we could get clergy to say it too. And you want to know what? They did. And it worked. This schizophrenic sort of subterfuge worked. But what was that old ethic back in 1970 they were trying to get rid of? And what is this new ethic that they're trying to impose today? Well, that old ethic you'll recognize because that old ethic said that you're somebody who's created in the image of God, and therefore you are of inestimable worth from the moment you come into existence. The new ethic is that you are a resource that needs to be managed by your betters. But make no mistake, everyone knows when human life begins. And they're not the only one. This is a brochure called Plan Your Children for Health and Happiness. It's a question and answer format, and it's about birth control pills. So they ask the question, birth control, is it an abortion? And this is the answer. Definitely not. An abortion kills the life of a baby after it has begun. It is dangerous to your life and health. It may make you sterile so that when you want a child, you cannot have it. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I just violated one of the cardinal rules of being a speech professor. Whenever you are quoting from a source, you're supposed to cite the source first. So where did this exactly come from? Plan Your Children for Health and Happiness, and it was published by, oh, that's right, Planned Parenthood. This is what Planned Parenthood told all women prior to the 1970s. And by the way, in case you're wondering, gosh, this looks like something Dr. Newman may have photoshopped. I'll let you know I actually do happen to own an original, and it looks like this. You might notice the African-American child on here. Back then, they weren't in the business of aborting these children. They were just in the business of trying to make certain that as few of these children were born as possible. Even our staunchest opponents now freely admit it. Camille Paglia in Salon Magazine, September 10, 2008, listen to what she wrote. Hence, I have always frankly admitted that abortion is murder, the extermination of the powerless by the powerful. Liberals, she is one and no friend of the pro-life movement, liberals for the most part have shrunk from facing the ethical consequences of their embrace of abortion, which results in the annihilation of concrete individuals and not just clumps of insensate tissue. In the next sentence, she says, nevertheless, the federal government's got no business whatsoever regulating it. To which I ask, regulate what, Camille? Oh, that's right, murder. Not just any kind of murder, murder of the powerless by the powerful. Folks, if you are waiting for the Nazis to come goose-stepping down Main Street, you're going to wait a long time. Evil never comes in the same guise twice, but it always comes bearing the same principles. Find the weakest and most defenseless image bearer of God, dehumanize them, and then use and kill them any way you like. It has been the MO of our enemy since the very beginning of time. You need to recognize the nature of your adversary. These are folks who are willing to say and do anything to be able to continue the killing. So what we have to do is act. We have to act. I know we've got this very bizarre belief-action dichotomy in the Western culture, which says you can believe something but not actually do anything about it. You really can't do that. If you really want to solve problems, you have to act. Now, I told you, I like action heroes, and I got to let you know, over all of my years of teaching, I would have students who would walk up to me. Now, I got to let you know, I would try really hard not to let my students know right away that I was a Christian because I didn't want to influence the kind of speech topics that they chose to give in class. But eventually, they would figure it out. It may have had something to do with the fact that I would require them to read C.S. Lewis's The Abolition of Man in class, and then we would discuss it for 3 hours. But, eventually they'd figure it out. And students would walk up to me and say, oh, so Dr. Newman, so you like action heroes and you like the Bible. So who is your favorite action hero in the Bible? And they're always expecting me to say somebody like, Samson or Daniel or Moses or somebody like that. Not even close. No. Timothy. Now, I know that there's some guys watching tonight and they're thinking, Timothy, the drink a little wine for your stomach, that Timothy? Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me tell you a little story about that Timothy. Okay, so the Apostle Paul, he blows into this little town called Lystra, and he says, hey, I'm going to go minister to the Jews. Who wants to come with? And in the back of the room, a hand pops up. Ooh, ooh, ooh. When Paul's entourage walks up, Paul says, who is that? Oh, that's Timothy. He seems really enthusiastic. Can he come with? Yeah. Well, what's the problem? What, he's not Jewish? No. His mom was Jewish. He's cool. That's how they talked back then. No, it's okay. But his dad was a Greek, and they kind of never got around to, circumcising him. Now, if you know anything at all about Paul, you know that Paul didn't care about circumcision, right? Circumcised, uncircumcised, all God cares about is a circumcised heart. But to the people they were going to go talk to, circumcision was a big deal. Now, I don't know if you're like me. I always just wondered, how would they know? I was kind of hooked honor system, but Paul's not going to lie. So picture the scene. Here's Timothy. He's probably about 30 years old at this time. He is being held down by 4 burly Jews. Here comes Paul, flint knife in one hand, no anesthetic in the other. And he circumcises that guy. That's commitment. Gentlemen, tonight, I'm just going to ask you to write a check. So, like Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the others. The bottom line, folks, is you have to act. And solving any kind of significant problem in this world always requires commitment and sacrifice. You know of the wonderful work that's being done over here at First Choice Women's Center. Listen to all of the ministries that we engage in. We provide pregnancy tests, ultrasound exams, pregnancy counseling, maternity homes, and adoption referrals, abstinence education presentations for area schools. We do post-abortion counseling, Bible studies, parenting programs, baby and maternity clothes, labor and delivery instruction, car seats, and other physical support and layettes for new moms. Folks, we do an incredible amount for the area community and for the women who walk through our doors. So the question then is, how do we manage all of this? How do we do it? Well, here's how. There are 3 buttons below this video. Now, if you've maximized your video, you may not be able to see it, but if you will minimize, you'll see those 3 buttons. I want you to focus for a minute on the one in the middle, the one that says Print Pledge Form. Now, it's possible that you already have received a pledge form like this. You may have gotten it in the mail along with your invitation, but many of you came directly to this event through the URL, and you don't have a pledge form, but maybe would like to have one. If so, you can click on Print Pledge Form. It will download it to your desktop, and you can print it out. Now, once you have a form, don't fill it out yet because I haven't told you what to do. I'm going to want us all to pray first before we fill this out, and then I want us to respond as God leads us. So the first thing that I do want you to do tonight is I'm going to want you to pray, but I don't want you to pray about whether or not you're going to be involved in First Choice Women's Center because actually God holds you accountable for everything that you ever learned. So too late. I'm going to ask for you to pray about how to become involved with us. Secondly, we also need volunteers. First Choice saw nearly 750 clients last year. About 65% of our clients are identified as abortion vulnerable or abortion minded. And out of these, our most vulnerable clients, these abortion minded, abortion vulnerable clients who had positive pregnancy tests through counseling and ultrasound, 88% of those women chose life for their unborn child. And those, by the way, they're just the ones we know about. And that's not all. Last year, 11 clients prayed to receive Jesus as their Savior and Lord. But it's not enough. According to the latest statistics published by the Ellen Guttmacher Institute, abortion clinics in Georgia alone performed abortions on 3,400 teenagers between the ages of 15 and 19. These aren't even the women who are in our wheelhouse, you know, the 20 to maybe 28-year-olds. This is 15 to 19-year-olds. And they performed abortions on 170 girls aged 14 or younger. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have a lot of work to do. So here's some of the things that we need for volunteers. We need church liaisons. We need facility maintenance persons, and we need a graphic designer. So if you can be a church liaison, this just means that you're the voice of our center over to your church, and you are the voice of your church back to the center, because it's a dialogue, it's not a monologue. If you can do facilities maintenance, I mean, a lot of guys think, oh, this ministry is not for me, it's a women's ministry. Gentlemen, strap on your tool belt, come on over, we need your help. And then finally, if you have graphic design skills, this is something we are in desperate need of. So if you can do any of those things and you have a pledge card, you can actually write it up here in the corner on the pledge card. So church liaison, facility maintenance program, or a graphic designer, you can write it right up here in the corner, and we will contact you. If you don't have a pledge card, you can just contact us directly. Also, as our statistics show, First Choice Women's Center desperately needs to grow. And so in order to do that, above and beyond our normal average monthly expenditures or annual expenditures, what we need are $25,000 to hire a marketing director for both clients and donors. We need $8,400 for digital outreach, such as Google or social media ads. Let me explain why this outreach is so important. I did a research study a couple of years back where I surveyed over 1,000 college students. At every one of these colleges, there was a pregnancy resource center nearby. In this large research instrument, I asked a question. If a woman came to you with an untimely pregnancy, to what local organization would you refer her? On the secular college campuses where I asked this question, these students responded not by bubbling in a bubble-in form. They had to actually come up with the entire name out of their head. 57% of the students wrote down Planned Parenthood. 39% of the students said, I don't know. You add those numbers together, that means 96% of those students would either send that woman to Planned Parenthood, where they would assuredly take the life of that woman's unborn child, or they had no idea where to send her. Then I repeated this survey at a large evangelical university, asked the same question. If a woman came to you with an untimely pregnancy, to what local organization would you refer her? The number one answer at 53% was, I don't know. Despite the fact, 7 fully licensed pregnancy resource clinics were all around the campus, 53% still had no idea where to send that woman. But 42% of them said that they would send her to Planned Parenthood. Add those numbers together, it's 95%. Folks, this cannot be. We must have folks know who we are and what we're all about. We cannot afford to be the best kept secret in LaGrange. And in order to do that, we are going to need to radically ramp up our outreach. So to do that, we need a marketing director. To do that, we need digital outreach. And then we also need $75,000 as a starter fund to enable us to seek a new, larger, more strategically located clinic on Lafayette Parkway. Right? We have to be where the people are if they're going to find out who we are and what we're all about. So we need $25,000 to hire a marketing director, $8,400 for digital outreach, and $75,000 for our starter fund. So what is it that I actually need you to do this evening? Well, I'll tell you. I need you to write a big check. Now, what is a big check? A big check is a check that is so big that when you sign it, it hurts you a little. Now, I do not know you folks from Adam. I have no idea who's watching tonight, but I do know that statistically speaking, there are people watching tonight who could easily write a check for $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 or more, and frankly, not even blink. There are people here tonight who you could fund our entire digital outreach program. There are people here tonight who could write a check and fund our entire move. But there are also people here tonight who, if you wrote a check for $500, $300, even $100, that might represent for you a titanic sacrifice. I have no idea who's who tonight, but I do know 2 people probably who do. If you're watching tonight with your husband or you're with your wife, I know 2 people tonight who know. God knows, and your spouse knows. Now, gentlemen, got to talk to you again for a minute. Now, some of the women are going, oh man, he's picking on the guys a lot tonight, and the guys are probably agreeing. But gentlemen, I got to talk to you for a minute. A lot of us had been told by the mass media, this is not our issue, right? This is a women's issue, so you butt out. If you don't have a uterus, you don't get an opinion, right? That's what the media tells us. But I'm here tonight to tell you that is simply not true. The other side does not do that to their men. Do you want to know what they do? They welcome their men. That's why the Playboy Foundation is a longtime donor to Planned Parenthood. Do you want to know why? It's because they're living out their principles. They believe that women are sex toys, and if you break one, you can fix her for about $600. That's what they believe. They act out of their principles. Tonight, gentlemen, I'm just going to ask you to act out of your own principles. You live in a heroic moment. It is now time to act. This is not a women's ministry. This is a battlefield. Inside the doors of our center every single day, life and death decisions are being made, and we need you. If we have the men on our side in this issue, we are going to win. Now, ladies, some of you are looking at me tonight and you're saying, wow, where's my cape? You don't need a cape. You've been carrying the water on this issue for us for decades. But tonight is the night, if there are men in the audience, for us to step up. But ladies, I will ask you, if you are watching tonight with your husband, I will ask you to do a brave thing tonight. I'd ask you to take out your checkbook, take out your credit card, and hand it to him. Because, see, this is not one of those issues. I know sometimes when people go to charity events, it's like, well, if it's a women's issue, she gets to decide how much we're going to give. And if it's a guy's issue, then he gets to decide. This is not like that. This is an opportunity for us to save the lives of our unborn neighbors. And in order to do that, I really need the gentleman to step up and make your mark on this issue. And it's not the only thing that we need. These one-time gifts are very important because they're what help us to take care of all of these capital improvements. But we also need money to know where our month-to-month obligations are going to come from. And so if you're watching tonight, what I'd like you to do is pray about an additional gift, a monthly recurring gift that you could provide. Now, again, some of you tonight, you could pledge $1,000, some of you $500, some of you $80, others $20. But I want you to put it in perspective. Almost everybody watching tonight, you have cable television. And if you have cable television, chances are great that you probably spend around $100 a month on that, and you don't even get a memory. Seriously, if I asked you, what did you watch on March 16th, 2017? You couldn't tell me. But let me tell you something. If you walked into First Choice Women's Center after becoming a supporter, and one of our clients happened to be there with one of her children, and she walked up and put that baby in your arms, I'm going to tell you right now, you would never forget that moment as long as you lived. So I want you to think about, remember all of that big laundry list of services that we provide? Right? There's a lot of them. Do you have any idea how many monthly donors it takes to enable us to deliver all of those services at a high degree of excellence? I want you to just get a number in your head. How many people in this community do you think support this center to allow us to do this? You got the number? Okay, now I'm going to tell you. 95. We have a grand total of 95 monthly donors. Ladies and gentlemen, not only can we do better, we must do better. One of the beautiful things about this environment is that we've kind of blown the doors off of our venue. We aren't limited by the number of people who can come in. And so tonight, this message goes out to a lot more people. We have a lot more opportunity to respond. And I'm just going to ask you tonight to pray with your spouse if you're here with your spouse. Pray by yourself, lift up your heart to God, and then I want you to respond as you feel God is leading you. So, if you have a pledge card tonight, it's really simple. You fill out all of your contact information. You tell us that you want to make a gift tonight. You can tell us you can do a one-time gift, and you can do an automatic recurring gift. Just make sure you fill out all the information, sign it, date it, get all the information done, and then make sure you get the address off the bottom to put on your envelope first, because if you fold it up and put it in the envelope first, you're going to have to get another envelope. So write the address on your envelope, fold it up, put your check inside, put a stamp on it, and please make sure that you mail this out tomorrow. Now, some of you are looking at me saying, well, wait a minute. I looked on the website and I noticed that there's another way to give, that I can actually give online. And you can, and it's great. We have a second button that says Donate Now Online. All you have to do is click on the button. When you do, it's going to take you to our donor page. What you want to do is you want to choose the virtual event from the drop-down menu. And then I want you to fill in the amount you want to give for your special gift tonight. Fill in your giving information. And then you can use your credit card, you can use your bank account, and then submit it. But if you want to use the Donate Now Online button for both your special gift and also your recurring gift, and I hope you do, you're going to need to go through the process twice. But when you click on that button that says make this a recurring gift, it's going to take you to another page where you're going to have to set up an account, please do so. This is the simplest and easiest way for you to make a recurring gift. And if you had an interesting time tonight, I always say interesting time instead of a great time, because, sometimes we've talked about some dark things, and you look around the room and you see people that you wish, you see an absent person you wish would have been there. You see friends or people from church or a pastor you wish they would have been able to watch this tonight. Well, here's the good news. Unlike a regular banquet where you'd have to wait a whole nother year for another speaker to come around at another event, we're recording this tonight. And as a result, you can have all of those people you wish could have watched this tonight, they can all watch it tomorrow night. They can all watch it next week if necessary. And the way that you do that is look below the screen, and off to the right, you're going to see a button that says Host a Watch Party, and it's simple to do. You can do it one of three ways. You click on the button, we'll send you instructions. You can host the old school style watch party where you just call people up, invite them over, maybe fix them a nice meal or cater it in through Grubhub or DoorDash, and then maybe have a bunch of pledge forms already ready for them, and then they can sit down, have a meal, watch the program, and then participate with the center afterward. Secondly, if you're the kind of person who likes to be part of the show, you can choose online with chat. This allows you to invite all of your friends, whether they're at your house or at other houses. You select a time where you're all going to watch together, and while you're watching, a chat bar will come up on the side of the screen, and you can chat to each other while you watch this program. And then thirdly, when all of our congregations are comfortable meeting together, we can do church-wide watch parties. Everyone can sit in the pews, we can pass out pledge forms, they can watch it up on the big screen, and then respond. So what we need to do tonight is we need to make one-time gifts. We need volunteers, we need prayer, we need one-time gifts, and we need recurring gifts. And then we really, really need you to do watch parties. And by the way, I'm not just suggesting that you do a watch party. We're literally counting on you to do a watch party to make sure that this is the most watched event in center history. Folks, everybody wants to be a hero. Tonight, I think we've recovered our ability to see the heroic moment. Tonight, I think we actually do know what we need to do. The only thing that remains is for us to do it. So in a minute, Kirk Walden's going to come back up and close us out. But when he does, if you're watching tonight with your spouse, I'd like you to hold hands together and pray. If you're watching tonight by yourself, I'd like you to lift up your heart to God. And then I want you to pray about what it is he would have you do in partnering with our work. And then when you're finished with that prayer, I want you to pull up your pledge card, or I want you to click on that donate button, click on that watch party button, and then just do as God watches and leads.
Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you for that challenge, and thank you for the heart for First Choice that you showed us tonight. I know this matters to you, and I know it matters to all of you watching as well. And I know as we're filling out our cards and finishing those up, I've got a couple of instructions for us to kind of wrap this evening up for us. One is, if you did have a pledge card, go ahead and fill that out, finish it up, put your check inside, close it, seal it, and let's put it in the mail tomorrow. Let's get these funds working for First Choice as quickly as we can. It's an important year, and I know you've been generous, and let's get those funds in as quickly as we can. Secondly, if you went online, remember, you can make that first gift online, but then you've got to go back in to make the monthly investment in the ministry as well. And this is how this event takes on an even greater magnitude, is when we will go ahead and not only do a one-time investment in the ministry, but a monthly investment as well. So we've got to go back in online to do that, and it takes a little extra mile work there. It's that second mile. But if we will, then this could be the largest fundraising event we've ever had. And I would encourage you to do that. And then finally, one more thing. There's a link. It says Host a Watch Party, and if you will click that link, you'll find some easy instructions so you can host your own watch party. You can watch separately in chat if that's how you want to do your watch party. You can have it in your home, and this is a big one, you can have it at your church. Why don't we all, what if all of us said, I can do a watch party, I can have a few friends over, I can do this. Even if I can't get close to people, I can do it in chat. If you will host a watch party, we can spread this event out to more people than have ever been to a First Choice event. It's bigger than any ballroom we can have, any hotel ballroom, anywhere, because we can expand this through hosting watch parties. So let's do that as well. Just click the link. The instructions are easy. Even a non-techie like me can do it, and I invite you to join us in that. So finally, as we close, I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to be a part of this event. You could have been doing a lot of other things this evening, but you were here, and we appreciate it with all that we have. So why don't we close in prayer? Father, again, we thank you. Thank you for this evening. Thank you for the message. Thank you for the vision of First Choice. And I pray that you will use what we've given to not only honor you, but to change lives and save lives in the process, that in the end, you will be glorified through this evening. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, again, thank you for being a part. Thank you for being here with us. And we look forward to seeing you again next year. But next year, we look forward to being in person. It's great to be with you. Good night, and God bless each of you for being a part of this evening.